So I'm here with Lena Måndotter, who lives in Sweden now. Lena, you were born in Sweden, I believe. You lived in Greece for quite a while. Now you're back in Sweden. And recently you completed the training program at ISEP. And next year you're going to be the presenter at the Zurich Lecture Series in October here in Zurich, Switzerland. So I want to ask you a few questions about yourself and let you introduce yourself to our audience. My first question relates to your two careers. Jungian psychoanalyst, that's your second career, but you haven't abandoned your first career, which was a professional artist, a singer, photographer, really working in the arts at a very high level. And now you've combined that, not rejected one in favor of the other, second career, but you combine it. How does this play out in your life today? How do you manage to keep both careers going or combine them?
Well, I can say that I've always kind of worked in kind of the interface in between art and therapy, because I'm also a trained song therapist. I did that in London in the 90s. So it hasn't been like it's been like an abyss in between. Like, so I have, sometimes I give concerts and sometimes I give workshops or work individually with people who want to work with song therapy and voice and movement therapy. They want to liberate their voices. So, and the background, also that training in London was quite influenced by Jung's psychology.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
And also in the 90s, in connection with that training, I also started myself here in Sweden to go in Jungian psychoanalysis, which I did for many, many years, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And it felt like a good, like I'd created my own training. I mean, I got my diploma from London, from the Royal Society of Arts. And then I thought, now, and because I always was interested in dreams, and I wanted to learn more about dreams. So at first I did my own analysis. And there I learned about dreams. So the Jungian thing was already there. And I think the first time I ever came in contact with Jung, that was his books, maybe Man and His Symbols, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, already in the 80s. And I've always...
And what were you doing? If I may ask, you lived in Greece for quite a while, and you made a beautiful film with a setting in Greece.
Yes.
What were you doing in Greece for years? You lived there.
Yes. But this is how life is. It's not what the ego plans, right? Things come your way. And I think soul, that's why I always use soul instead of, because you can have all your plans with your life, but suddenly something happens and you're taking on a new path. So moving to Greece, that was to a little Cretan mountain village, high up in the mountains and hardly no tourists at all. But me and my husband, we said, okay, let's get the cheap flight, to Crete. We have traveled a lot, both him and me. So we just got this flight there. And we didn't know where on Crete. And then we ended up at the coast. And we got to know a Greek musician who then said, and he used to sing a lot in the church. So because I'm also interested in like old hymns and stuff. So we got a very good connection. And one day he said these fateful words like, why don't you take a walk to my home village? So we started to walk, in the hot summer temperature there, and halfway I thought, oh, this is I'm not gonna make it to this heat. But my husband kept, let's go up there. And we came there. It was like time has been standing still. If Jesus had come around the corner, I wouldn't have been surprised. So we just, that's kind of love at first sight. Yes. And we walked around there. And then when we came back, he says, because me and my husband had always talked about getting some kind of, like Jung wanted Bollingen, some kind of escape place where you could be by yourself and create. And I mean, it's a beautiful village because, you got the view right out towards the Libyan Sea. It's like Europe stops there. So it was very enchanting. And it's talking about the spirit of the place. And then this friend of ours, he said, oh, maybe you want to buy a little house here or something. And then we went there a few times, and we found this old ruin. And my husband is a very practical person. I usually stand beside while he's fixing things. And then so we renovated this little house. That's how it came about.
I see.
And at that time, we could, because we also work, he's also a musician, so we could be there like in rehearse. We had access to the old school, and then we went back to Sweden and we staged, musical performances.
Oh, I see.
At that time, I worked sort of also with art and staging mythological figures. Like I made one performance about Orpheus, as you say in Greek, one about the seeress Cassandra, and one about the goddess of memory, Mnemosyne, because I think this place just, its energy just went through me. Like I wasn't like planning, now I'm going to do all these things about Greek themes, but that's how it came about. I just had to surrender to what was trying to get through me in that way.
You were living with the archetypes, I think, huh?
Yes, I think so. I believe some of us has to become, become instruments for what wants to come through.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but that's how it happened, how I came. And since nobody spoke English there, I studied Greek at the university, so I became, pretty fluent, and that's how you got a deeper connection with these people too. And I learned their song, and that's when you get the even deeper connection if you sing with them.
Well, singing is really at the core, isn't it? I remember when you came to Zurich, when was it? Maybe 10 years ago, and you began studying at ISAP, and then you went off for a while, you disappeared for a while, and you came back and you finished, and you wrote your thesis on song.
Yes.
So you incorporated your musical background, interest, passion with your thinking function. I guess you had to write a thesis. I see books beside you there. You've got a library.
One reason why I'm making that film, actually, because at that time, I don't think my thinking function, I didn't trust it. Because when I gave workshop, people said, and I called this workshop also the Song of the Soul. And they kept, well, you should write a book about this. And in whatever way I tried, I thought, this is the unspeakable realm. How can you put words on something like this? Because music is very fluid and evasive. And how can you really explain this? That's why I made that film. Because I thought first I have to because film, then you can use images and you can use some poetic language and you can shift in between and some music. That's how it all came about, yes.
It's a beautiful film. Well, tell me, what are you going to bring us next year to Zurich Lectures? It's a big occasion for us. Every year we bring in an outstanding figure usually from afar, sometimes from nearby, to give us this lecture series based on a book that they have written and has been published or will be published shortly by Chiron Publications. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to bring us to lectures.
Yeah, I thought that instead of just being theoretical lectures, maybe it will have a kind of like I do a little bit of a presentation, or I can demonstrate something. But of course, then, I mean, we can call it the singing instinct. That's what I believe in, that we have, like Jung said, that we have a religious instinct. And I also think that we have a deep human need for singing, all of us. But a lot of people feel a bit shy. Maybe they've been shamed about their voices, or, maybe had some, not very good musical teacher, so people then start contracting, I think. And some even contract so much that they say, no, I'm tone deaf, they say, just to protect themselves so they don't have to be exposed. Because what it is, the human voice is the only inner instrument that you have. It's the only inner instrument. So one must be aware that if your singing voice has been judged somehow or harshly corrected when you were a child, maybe the teacher said, oh, well, we will sing here and you sit over there because you sing false. That goes very, very deep into the child. People don't forget these things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's quite a lot of psychological aspects here but I would like to so when you judge, and the soul is very involved, the soul doesn't eat bread. The soul is nourished by creative things, and so then I've worked very much, and I would like to talk about that also, because it's something you don't have to start like a singing school at ISAP tomorrow, but everyone can bring, into the analysis song just to get acquainted with it. And one aspect is like when you learn about this, listening is also a very important side. We're not really taught how to listen. And people say, pay attention and listen. That's not what I'm talking more about, getting into that. You know how animals are, the presence of a dog, or how they listen, and you see the ears. It's a very awake state. And it's something we can also do, but we're not used to this. So like the first step, like the client can just bring in songs they like, how songs can bring you back in time or forward, or get your emotions going. And I always encourage also people this with the animal side, because it's very different to listen to a song and learn about this listening with that kind of instinctual side of you. Like, for example, if you're going to memorize something and it's just you just talk about it. So I say the river is flowing and growing, and then you ask the person to repeat that. That's not going to be too difficult. The person will go, the river is flowing and growing. But then if you put a little bit more melody into it, the river is flowing and growing, you can feel yourself, your ears open, and that can be a big step.
That adds a lot. Yeah, that sound adds a lot. It touches you emotionally. Yeah, absolutely.
And also make people understand that it's not, there is music in words too, in sentences. So it's not this big abyss in between, a spoken sentence and a melody. And that's where I also like to, introduce.
I saw you singing to a dog. Do you sing to animals?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have a lullaby. Right now I've had many dogs, right? And right now I have a French Pyrenees shepherd. He's called Chanouk, and he's a teenager now. Teenagers, they're full of energy. And when it's getting a little bit too much, I start to hum a little lullaby for him. And then sometimes he calms down. But animals pick up these energies very quickly. Animals, and not only dogs. Now, if you're around horses, they can reveal yourself to yourself. They pick up directly what's going on, way beyond words. So they've been my great teachers, animals, all kinds.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think maybe why also, Jung is a long time ago, Jung wrote that music should be an essential part of every analysis, because it sometimes can reach deeper than the talking cure. And I'm wondering, why have we hesitated? We have picture interpretation on the schedule, but we don't have, I don't think song interpretation would be the thing, but it's not there. And you also said that music, it mirrors the deep archetypal processes. It touches us on a very deep level. And I would like to contribute with this.
Yes, absolutely. At ISAP, we recognize a certain number of hours that are done in experiential therapies, and that is like authentic movement or or painting. Why not music also? That would be an expressive.
Yes, I think it will animate, and slowly one can learn. And I think even the analyst would benefit, getting more a little bit acquainted with their singing voices. But there is, Mario Jacobi, he wrote about shame, there is a lot of shame. I've also heard some statistics on, I don't know if it's only Sweden, but this is a very quiet country. But, we suffer from this we suffer from this bit phonophobia, we can say. Like the people, they've done some questioning to people what they fear the most. So, of course, they fear death and diseases. But going up in front of an audience and sing was very high up on this fear.
Yeah.
But you can also see once people get in contact with their singing voice, they are unstoppable. They have reclaimed the forbidden fruit, and it's such a grace to see it. So,
the forbidden fruit. Okay, we're looking forward to taking a bite.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Next year, Lena, we're really looking forward to your visit, and I'm sure we'll get a very good crowd of people to listen to you and to sing with you and participate and to learn from you. So, looking forward to it. So glad that you're on our program.
And I'm glad to, and thank you very much for inviting me to the Zurich Lecture Series. I'm looking forward to it.
I followed signs, I followed sound, until my world turned around. I crossed the sea in search of thee, until thy grace let me see. And it's been so long, this winding road, but now I'm finally coming home, home to my soul where I belong, home to my world of song, home to my soul where I belong, home to my world of song. There is a ring around the stone, there lies a feather on the bone. I know that bird, its precious wing, in every dream I hear a sing. And it's been so long, this winding road, but now I'm finally coming home, home to my soul where I belong, home to my world of song, home to my soul where I belong, home to my world of song, home to my world of song.